Good day, Andy Darty here again with another encouraging video. Have you ever heard a song lyric that just really hit you and you think that is just, it was so short and yet it was so profound? Well, that's what I want to do today. I want to consider a lyric like that. Now, it comes from a song from Matt Redman, his CD, Unbroken Praise. And the second song on that CD is called It Is Well With My Soul. And it begins with this really good lyric. It says, our scars are a sign of grace in our lives. And Father, how you brought us through. Have you ever considered why there is such a thing as scars? Why do we scar? Why is it that God created our bodies in such a way that when we have a significant wound, it grows back, if you will, as a scar? Have you ever thought about that? Why is it that way? That's just God's, I think it's not coincidental. I think it's actually God's design. And why is that? Well, there's probably more than one right answer. Maybe one answer is that when you've had a really bad mishap like that, you've really gotten wounded or hurt yourself, and then you heal from that, you look at that scar and you know, I should never do that again. I can relate to this. So you can't see it very well now, but I have a pretty bad scar on my elbow. One of my friends, Dorrance Stovall, will know why I have that scar. You see, Dorrance and I tried to tackle a hill on skateboards that was a little too much for both of us. And now I bore the scar from that. And every time I look at it, I think, I don't think I'll ever do that again. So maybe that's one reason why we scar. There are also good things about scarring. We can use it to identify people. Things like scars and birthmarks and other anomalies on our body are used to find missing persons in good situations and also in bad situations, identifying criminals. There's also other good things that happen with, animals are this way too, not just people. Conservationists actually track whales and porpoises that way. They look for scars on their tails and on their dorsal fins and things like that. And they actually track them all over the world, Hawaii to Alaska. It doesn't matter where they migrate. They can identify them in this big database based on their scars. So that's kind of neat. That's part of God's design. But rather than just talk about the physical, let's move to the spiritual. Have you thought about the fact that it is Easter time? Have you thought about the fact that when Jesus was resurrected from the dead, he had scars? Why? Now, God the Father and Jesus could have resurrected his body perfectly normal, recognizable as Jesus. Everybody knew he was crucified, but without the scars. And yet, he had the scars. Was it just for doubting Thomas? Was it just for those disciples there? I don't think so. Now, I'm not saying I have the definite answer here. I don't know what the real reason is. I want us to really consider this and think about scars and the value of scars, whether it's on our body or whether it's on Jesus's body. Maybe the scars were a reminder of the prophecies about the Messiah. And I'm talking about scriptures like Isaiah 53:5 that says, by his wounds we are healed. Could have been that. Maybe that's part of the reason. Maybe the answer is actually in Matt Redman's verse. Maybe he has the answer and he was telling us the answer. And that is that the very existence of any scar is proof of God's grace in our lives. It's proof of the resilience of our body, the fact that our bodies have the ability to regenerate. And yeah, not perfectly because it leaves a scar, but that's just how it works. That's how God designed it to be. Jesus's wounds and scars tell a testimony that speaks to us through the centuries. It tells us that he's been through a lot for us, and we understand that he's been through pain and that he understands our wounds and our pains and our troubles. We can know Jesus, sometimes we can know him through his glory and his majesty, but maybe it's even more comforting to know him through his scars and to know that he has lived in our skin, so to speak. The best way for us to be healed, whether it's emotionally, physically, or otherwise, is through the care of a skilled physician or healer. The best physician is one who can relate to the patient's pain, and the best minister is one who is sympathetic, someone who has been there and done that. So my theory is that seeing Jesus with scars is a reminder that he did live in this life. Hebrews 4 tells us that Jesus is the greatest high priest. Why is he the greatest high priest? Because he was tempted and tested just like we were in this world, and yet without sin. He suffered wounds, and he can sympathize with our problems as well. Verse 16 of Hebrews 4 says this, therefore, let us draw near with confidence to the throne of grace so that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. The greatest grace giver is Jesus Christ. The Good Shepherd is not only a great leader, but have you thought about the fact that he's a scarred shepherd? He's scarred. He's weathered the storm for us. He's sympathetic to us. To be human is to be wounded, whether it's physically or whether it's emotionally. You can't live in this life without being scarred in some way. Praise God that we can also know that we have grace. So Matt Redman's choice of words, I believe, is very profound. I'll read them to you again. Our scars are a sign of grace in our lives. And Father, how you brought us through. My prayer is that you'll never look at scars the same again, that you'll always think about the fact that scars are a sign of God's grace. I pray that this has been encouraging. If you like my message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. And thank you for listening. Have a great day. God bless.